I was a little girl. I had something that was called an easy bake oven. I understand they're back in circulation again. I always liked to bake, and my best meals came out of an easy bake oven. So that goes to tell you that I'm not a very good baker. But today, I'm using my baker skill to share with you a dozen of quotes that to me capture the heart of what we celebrate in Black history. Carter G. Woodson says we should emphasize not Negro history, but Negro in history. What we need is not a history of selected races or nations, but the history of the world, void of national bias, race, hate, or religious prejudice. Booker T. Washington said success is not measured not by the position that one has reached in life, but by the obstacles which he has overcome while trying to succeed. Maya Angelou said, "For Africa to me is more than a glamorous fact. It is a historical truth. No man can know where he is going unless he knows exactly where he has been and exactly how he arrived at his present place." Harriet Tubman said, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within your strength, the patience, the passion to reach for the stars to change the world." Colin Powell said, "If you're going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little things. Excellence is not an exception, it is a prevailing attitude." Rosa Parks said, "I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear." Jesse Jackson said, "Both tears and sweat are both salty, but they render different results. Tears will get you sympathy, sweat will get you change." Langston Hughes said, "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is like a broken winged bird that cannot fly." W.E.B. Du Bois said, "The cost of liberty is less than the price of repression." Nelson Mandela said, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live a life in a way that represents respect and enhances the freedom of everyone." Now, King gave us a simple phrase that helped shape our ongoing struggle. He stated it in simple terms. He gave no introduction, no long rationale, no explanation. He just made it plain and clear. King helped us to really realize it could be done. He helped us to realize that race relations could really work. King was out there. He said it. He quoted it. And we believed him. King gave us the civil rights call of all time. King said, "Can we all just get along?" Y'all thought I was talking about Martin. Y'all thought I was talking about Martin. But Rodney King said, "Can we all just get along?" After his dealing with the LA police, Rodney's simple words became a civil rights call. But really, the King we really remember on days like this said, "I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound by the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe," he said, "that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word." That's the Martin Luther King that we remember. Good morning. I gave you a dozen of quotes, not from my Easy Bake Oven this morning, but quotes that shape and mold and make what we celebrate today, Black History Month. That's why we're here. I want to, of course, greet none other than your illustrious president, the great leader of this institution, Dr. Cleveland Sellers, and thank you for this great invitation to be here to come and celebrate Black History Month with each of you. To Brother West and to Dr. Martin for your graciousness and hospitality in having me to come on this historic campus of Voorhees College. To all of the faculty and staff and the cabinet of Dr. Sellers, to all who teach and impart the knowledge that is needed to all of the students and to all of the staff who make up this great institution. And of course, a shout out to my brothers and sisters of the National Panhellenic Council, to my brothers and sisters of Alpha, of AKA, of Kappa, of Omega, of Sigma, of Zeta, and of Sigma Gamma Rho, and of course, to my sorors of Delta Sigma Theta, who gave me the honor and the blessing to serve as their leader, as their centennial president. I greet each of you in divine love and sisterly gratitude for the blessing of being with you today. I want to thank, first of all, this choir. Wow. I was trying to find my alto part, but I couldn't catch y'all. Y'all are great, just great. And I want to thank each of you for the singing of Lift Every Voice and Sing. I don't know if you realize that every time we sing that song, we celebrate Black history. Learn the words, learn the words. I'm a former kindergarten teacher. I taught my kindergarten students the words to Lift Every Voice and Sing. People get amazed when I say that. After I taught them Humpty Dumpty and Jack and Jill, I taught them Lift Every Voice and Sing. And all of them were not African American. Learn, lift every voice. Many of you were looking at the program. Learn, lift every voice and sing. That's your first assignment. You're going to get many, that's your first. I didn't have that one written down, but as I scanned the audience, I realized I needed to lift that assignment first. And we celebrate today the greatness, and thank you, Brother Pastor, Preacher, for setting us right and asking God to help us to remember the names he called, as remember their legacy, their names. Every now and then we need to hear the names of those, so thank you for calling them and asking God to help us to remember them. But we celebrate today the beginning of Black History Month in your series of celebrations. Aren't you glad that we get to celebrate? I don't know about you, but I get excited at a celebration. Every now and then, and I know some of you are too young, but I remember when I was a little girl, every now and then, it seems like every 3 or 4 years, somebody would say happy birthday. And when I was a little girl, I used to hear my mother say, "You mean it's September 1 again?" That was my mom's birthday. And she would say, "Looks like every 3 months, somebody's running in my face saying happy birthday." I said, "Mama, my birthday looks like it comes every 3 years." Because I was young, and now that I've reached over 50, it looks like every 3 months somebody's saying happy birthday. You all live long enough, you'll see what I mean. You're going to remember that. But I get excited at celebrations. I still get excited over my birthday, so I know what it is to get excited to celebrate who I am. That's what Black History Month means to me. It celebrates who I am. It gives me a time to understand how I got to be. And some of you probably saying, "You, miss?" Yeah, me. And if you did ask that question, I'm scared. For you, it's Black History Month. It's a month that has been dedicated to honor, to celebrate, and more importantly, to learn of the achievements, the accomplishments, the additions, and especially the contributions made by African Americans in this country's history. This celebration can be traced back to, Carter G. Woodson. And you can probably tell I'm an old Baptist girl. I often keep my church in my introduction so that you can know where my roots come from, and you're going to find that out. So every now and then when I say nod your head, that's church stuff there. And I tell people when somebody's saying something, if you don't say amen, just nod your head. At least people will think you know what I'm talking about. So when I say it goes back to Carter G. Woodson, who started Black History Month, nod your head, then everybody will think you knew that. Carter G. Woodson started this out, and Carter G. Woodson in 1926, who was a son of a former slave, who was an amazing man in his own right. He was too poor to go to school, but he's taught himself. He taught himself. And at the age of 20, he got to go to high school and finish it in 2 years. Somebody might want to say, wow. Right there, he taught himself. And guess what? Later on, got a master's and his bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Chicago in 1912. Whoa. I'm impressed already. I don't know about you. But there, he went on to become the second man to receive his PhD from Harvard University. Somebody asked the question right there. I heard him. If he was the second, who was the first? Don't Google. I got the answer. It was W.E.B. Du Bois. Every now and then the teacher gives you some answers. This man started what we call Black History Month, but it didn't start out as a month. You need to know it started out as a week. Nod your head because you're supposed to know that. It started out as a week. After he had a trip, he went to Chicago, and while there, they started what was called the Association for the Study of Negro History, of Negro Life and History, the ASNLH, which there they started publishing the Journal of Negro History. Nod your head, you're supposed to know that. And from that came the second week in February, was called Black History Week. Nod your head. Why they chose that week? It was the week of two very important people's birthdays, Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. Nod your head, you're supposed to know that. I had to give you that, just in case you didn't know that. And so because of all of that happening, here we are today celebrating Black History Month. Now, I'm not going to get into all the debate and all of the controversy and all the arguments and all of that. And I told you I'm Baptist, so you see how I move. I get confined with things like this. But I won't get into all of that into why people say, I don't get into Black History Month. Because I don't like that they only give us a month. I'm glad for the month. I'm glad for the month. If it makes the world stop and celebrate me, I'm glad for the month. The Bible teaches, and every now and then you can tell I'm Baptist and jump out. Every now and then. The Bible teaches, be thankful for what you got and not jealous of what you don't have. Glad for the month. I need us to work on getting more than the month, but I'm glad for the month. And the more important question is, what you do in the month? Somebody right there say, ouch. So as we celebrate this month of Black history, as we celebrate who we are every year, we pause. And we celebrate the contributions, the achievements, the accomplishment of African Americans in this world's history. This is our attempt to recognize, to appreciate the worthwhile contributions of African Americans. They are significant and they are numerous. While we deal with all the ills and the chills of today's world, all the thrills, all the calamities, all the chaos of society, all the problems, all the predicaments, and all the perils of our day, the dilemmas, the difficulties, and the distresses we see, all of the failures and the faults and the fears and all the flaws that we observe, all of the troubles and all of the turmoils and all of the trials and tribulations, as we say in church. Even the fight on the war of terror, the battle on crime, the attack on our safety, we still need to, have to. It's imperative that we control our racial past and our racial present. We confront it and understand that our history as African American, as a people, is intertwined in the history of this country. When we do that, Brother Eric Holder, Attorney General, says, we then examine America's racial soul. So why do we need to study history? If I was in the Olive Branch Baptist Church, where I haven't been a member since I was 7 years old, my pastor would say, I'm so glad you asked me that question. So why do we study history? I saw just recently that there were 7 reasons listed on a website why people should really study their history. One was to understand society. How do we understand this world if I don't know how this world got to be? Every now and then at a school, we still teach the children about Christopher Columbus, and that's being argued every day. Secondly, it says we have to study history to understand change and understanding how we got here. We got to understand how it was there, how we made it to here. Thirdly, it says it provides a sense of identity. I have to understand how I came to be. Every now and then I have to look at my mama and look at my daddy and make sure I look, I provide identity. A sense of identity helps you understand who you are. For me, it provides a sense of us preserving the storage of how we made it, how the Bible says over, but how we us to keep on keeping on, as they say in church. Sixthly, it teaches us some warning signs. Because if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat your past. And 7, it helps us to be better than those who went before us. I just believe in my heart that the names you call wanted us to be better. As I read those 7 things, I said to myself, where do I see myself in there? I found myself in number 3, providing me with a sense of identity. I remember in the 5th grade when one of those teachers asked me to write a story about who do I see myself in Black history. And everybody started, of course, with their mamas. And I went further back, and I saw myself in a Sojourner Truth. Because I remember her speech about, ain't I a woman? And I couldn't understand. You probably can look at me and see since I was 14 years old, I've been 6 feet tall. I went to high school extremely young. I took the test to get into high school at 11. I don't want y'all to think I was a genius. I just kind of knew a little something. So as soon as I got to high school, being that tall, you know what the basketball coach did. So I played ball, and I was pretty good. Y'all got a court? I'll show you a little something. But I realized that there was a difference in the sports arena for boys than for girls. So when I wrote about being a Sojourner Truth, it wasn't just the color of my skin, it was my gender that bothered me. How come I couldn't get scholarships like boys got? How come I didn't get play time? How come my games wasn't televised? How come the scouts wasn't looking at me? I was good. So I said, ain't I one? Can I play ball too? Now there wasn't no WNBA then. So instead of being the national president of Double Sigma Theta, I might have been somebody else if that had been around. But what does history mean to us? It's important. Do you know in ancient times that it was said that they taught their children their history because it was their history that shaped their thoughts about who they could be? Does that mean something to you? It was said that they did that because they thought if they knew where they came from through the gene source, then they might realize that there was something running in their veins that meant they were destined to be better than what came before them. So every now and then, I tap my vein source to see if maybe I am supposed to be great based on where I come from. So what does that say to us today about our history? Our past is so much different than what it is today thanks to technology. Every now and then I laugh at myself when I think of my mother, who was just around long enough to get caller ID and call waiting. I said, Mama, you don't answer the phone when I'm calling. That beep means I'm calling you. Just press the button and I'll be there. She said, just wait till I finish and then I'll be there. I think about her every time I do something on my iPhone, every time I do something on email. So I'm wondering if what they say today is true, that our present time has no need to look at what history had in the past because we think we got it going on. I hope you know right now somewhere somebody is already doing iPhone whatever's next. The new program for your iPad is already being tested. Everything is already advanced. So the question is, do we really cherish history? Well, some way, somehow, while others diminish the meaning of historical value, African Americans, we can't. Because if we do, we mess up what's running through our veins. Now, while I will tell you I would love to stand here and rattle off some names, I'm going to ask you in the beginning to forgive me for not individually recognizing the millions of the descendants of Africans who suffered, who struggled, who sacrificed to make this nation great. I'd ask you to please forgive me for not mentioning the Negroes, freed and enslaved, who helped to build and shape these United States of America. I will ask you to please, I beg your pardon for not mentioning all the blacks who contributed to the holistic development of this great land of opportunity. And I'd ask you, please, don't hold it against me for not mentioning the millions of African Americans who also sing My Country, Tears of Thee. I could rattle off the athletes like Ali and Jordan and Robinson and Aaron and Owens and Chamberlain. I could rattle off the authors like Alex and Maya and Langston and Zora and Tony. I could rattle off the inventors, like Drew and Madame CJ and Booker T and Mary McLeod and May and Gary. I could rattle off the great leaders like Malcolm and Martin and Mandela and E.B. and Stokey and Jesse. I could rattle off Harriet and Sojourner and Coretta and Hyde and Chisholm and John. I could rattle off the entertainers like Cosby and Baker and Lena and Sidney and Will and Oprah and Denzel and Tyler. I could rattle them all, but I ain't. What I'd rather do is share this with you. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown said this that touched my heart. This is the thought I'm leaving with you today. He said, Black History Month reminds us of the rich heritage we have inherited. It teaches us that if we carry within us, within ourselves, the memory of their journey, of our people, from then until now, it will remind us that we are the evidence of the success of their journey. I read that about 3 years ago. That one quote changed my life. That last little line did one of them. I don't know if you've ever, I'm in the commercials. It's an AT&T commercial, the ones with the kids. And the man says, give me your highest number. Little boy says, 10 or something. Little girl says, infinity. The other little girl says, infinity plus 1. He says, well, we were looking for infinity plus infinity. And the other one says, how about infinity times infinity? And he says, poof. You seen it? When I read that, that was my poof moment. That last line says, if we keep the legacy of the journey of the people who went before us on our minds, it will remind us that we are the evidence of their success, of their journey. Me, I'm the evidence of their success. That thing was my poof moment. Somebody in this seat said, why? I'm glad you asked that question. I told you I was 11 years old when I took the test to go to high school. Yeah, I was kind of a little bit smart. I'll admit it. I was going to the neighborhood high school. L.B. Landry High School in my neighborhood. Because all my friends were going. It was the predominantly black high school. My neighborhood, I had my All-American jeans, my sweaters. I was ready to go to high school. My mother told me in 8th grade that the nuns of this all-girls, predominantly white Catholic high school was looking for some black girls and they called for me. I said, how did they know me, Mother? She said, I don't know. They just called. She said, I think they don't think black girls are smart enough to get in that school. I said, well, how did they pick me? Now, my mother was a principal in the school system there, so I think she kind of made me think that's how they knew about me. My mother said, you don't have to go there, but what I would do if I were you. I don't know if you've had a mama like that. Mama bucked me up. She said, what I would do if I was you, I'd go over there and take the test and show them black girls are smart. I said, what? She said, yeah, they don't think you can pass. I said, they don't think I can pass? She said, they don't think you're going to pass that test. I said, well, I'll pass the test. That's nothing. She said, you don't have to go, just pass the test. I said, okay. I'm going to go and show them. I took the test, of course. Of course, I passed. I was 11 years old going to high school. Passed the test. My mama said, boy, black people going to be so proud of you. You've gone over there and you passed the test. I said, Mama, the black people proud? She said, black people all over the world proud of you. My mama said, because, I said, how did they know about me, Mama? My mama said, Martin Luther King never met you, Cynthia, but he did all of that for you. I said, for me, Mama, for you, so that you could go over there, take that test, pass it, and get in. When I read that statement, I said, I'm the success of their journey. So why do I share that with you today? I could have just rattled off the names of all the people who have gone before and done great things. I came today to tell each of you, you too are the success of their journey. How did my mama get me to that point? You probably can tell I was a very active little girl. I love the Wizard of Oz. Y'all ain't gonna raise your hand because I know, and I got nephews. They still don't tell anybody, but I have nephews. We still go crazy over the Wizard of Oz. And all my nephews are taller than me, so you know. I got 14 of them. We love the Wizard of Oz. We still talk about it. To this day, when they were little boys, I'd bring them in, we'd watch it all together. So now they're grown men with kids themselves, and they call me, look, he said the Wizard of Oz coming up. I love the Wizard of Oz because there's so many stories in there. But I tell you that only because I still get excited over Dorothy and Toto, but I even got crazy, in 78 when we did the black version, it became the Wiz, and, Diana Ross, and, Michael Jackson was the Scarecrow, y'all remember? But there was a song in there, and in the Wiz, Lena Horne, she's a Delta, she sung it. And it was called If You Believe. And my mother started playing songs about believe. And she started feeding those songs inside of me. So that every time I would hear a song with the word believe, my mama pumped it up in me. So even when I heard R. Kelly say, I believe I can fly, I got into it. I started believing I could fly. Even when Mariah Carey said, if miracle can happen if you believe, I believe that. I believe when Dolly Parton said, I believe that somewhere, everywhere it rains, a flower grows. I believe that. Every song that had believe, I start believing because my mama told me if I believe, because they believed in me, and I became their success. So my message today to you is, you are the success of that journey. So you can't stop. Because if you stop, the journey stops. And our black history ceases to be. I know you were expecting to come to hear a speech about Martin and Malcolm. They had that journey. They started this for us. You wanted me to tell you about Harriet and the Underground Railroad. Nod your head because you're supposed to know that. You want me to tell you about Marcus Garvey. You want me to tell you about all of those who went before us. You want me to tell you about Mary McLeod Bethune. You want me to call all of the names about Coretta and Rosa not giving up a seat. You're supposed to know that. But I came today for you. Because somebody's got to tell this story some years from now. Maybe they'll call your name. Maybe they'll say what you did. Maybe you are the success of their journey. And somebody will be the success of yours. You're probably saying, Miss, that's a little too heavy today. I'm glad if it is. It's Black History Month, and I came to celebrate with you. I celebrate you because we are Black history. So how do I end this with you? To tell you, yeah, you probably know, I went to that all-girl Catholic high school. My mother had bucked me up because once I got in, She said, now what you really should do is go there at least 1 year. Show them how smart you are. And my mother was that kind of mother. I said, yeah, Mama. She said, yeah, 8 black girls in that school. And we had to show them the success of our journey. I wonder today, which one of you will take on the task of showing that you are the success of the journey of those who've been before you? Can't let this journey end. I would hate to be the one who drops the ball. Did you hear that Carter G got his high school diploma in 2 years after not having a formal education? And you sitting here at a prestigious university, don't drop the ball. And when you leave here, don't be satisfied. Get all you can. Grab it. Hold on to it. Get it while you can and then pass it on. Make sure somebody knows what you went through to get what you got. And then when you get it, don't be greedy and selfish and hold on to it. Share it. Leave something behind so when the roll is called for Black History Month, just by chance, they might not call your name. You know, like I know, what you've done for somebody else. And as I leave you, because I got to go, I hope I've shared with you in 3 ways. I hope that I warmed your heart. Because one thing I try to do, I speak from my heart. And so I believe what comes from the heart touches the heart. Secondly, I hope I provoke your will. I hope that you will do something different than when you came in, now that you're going to leave out. And thirdly, I hope I prick your toes. If you couldn't say amen and nod your head, I hope somewhere you said ouch. And you're going to do something about it. And so because you probably heard in my introduction, I am a former kindergarten teacher. And that's really what I do best. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but it's a fact, Jack. I'm one of the best kindergarten teachers that has ever lived. That's a fact. I see my kindergarten students. I have one who works at, supervisor at TSA. He's over at the airport, and of course I'm in and out of there all the time. And he's so proud to tell me, that's my kindergarten teacher. And every kindergarten student that crossed the seal of my door, I would always tell them the first day of school, I tell, before you come in, sometimes they're crying, you know that's kindergarten. I said, before you come in here, let me tell you one thing. This is the smart kids class. And your name might not be on the list. But you already know I've checked their names out because I would never do that to a child. I said, but if it's not, it's okay because this is the smart kids class. I said, let me see your name. All right, it's in their name. And I look down the list like I'm looking, it's already there. I said, you're in the smart kids class. I said, I'm the smart kids class teacher. So the whole year they come in thinking they're in the smart kids class. I said, now smart kids act a certain way in the cafeteria. We don't run, we don't yell. They act a certain way in line. They sit a certain way in their seats. Smart kids read before they leave kindergarten. Smart kids add before they, so they're smart kids. Now you need to know, I didn't have the smart kids. But by the time they left me in June, I had the smart kids. So, I want each of you to know that Dr. Sellers told me that everybody came to this assembly day was in my smart kids class. So when you leave out here, act like the smart kids. Because A, I want you to have a new attitude. Because your new attitude determines your altitude. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, your attitude determines how high you go. B, I want you to believe. You got to believe. I told you my mama instilled in that me. So there were times I really did believe. I want to tell R. Kelly, I don't know why you sung that song because I really am flying. I believed it. C, I want you to be caring. I want you to be concerned. And I want you to be committed. Care about something other than yourself. D, I want you to be dedicated. I want you to be determined. Whatever your goals are, set it out. And I'm telling you, you will reach it. E, I want you to enjoy life every day. Life is short. I don't know, it's short. I don't care if you live to be 100 years old. It's still short. Enjoy life every day. G, I want you to let go and let God. He's still in charge. H, I want you to do what the songwriter said. He said, don't worry, be happy. Stop looking like you're mad with somebody. Be happy. Some of y'all ain't smiled yet. I want you to instigate something. You know some things need to happen. Stop complaining and fussing and cussing. Just make it happen. J, I want you to join people who are building things up. Leave them people alone who tear everything down. K, I want you to kick old habits. Old habits make you stagnated. You know what stagnated water does? It stinks. L, I want you to love ye one another. Don't do it because I said, do it because the good book says it. He said, love ye one another. M, I want you to make a way and make a difference. Make a difference in somebody else's life. And I want you to never give up. Give out a little if you must. Sit down and catch your breath. I know you get out of breath, but don't give up. Oh, I want you to open your mouth. But when you do, make sure you got something to say. P, I want you to have a plan for your life, because if you fail a plan, it's obvious you're planning to fail. Q, I want you to quit quitting. Quitters, they never win. Us winners, we don't quit. R, I want you to have some respect, some reasoning, and some responsibility. Respect yourself and respect others. Reason and think things through and take responsibility. You gonna mess up, say, hey, I did it. S, I want you to study, study, study. Don't give up. You ain't that smart. Open up the book. T, I want you to take time for yourself. Enjoy yourself. U, I want you to unite with people who think like you, who want like you. Fist bump and say, I'm with you. V, I want you to have a vision. Where do you see yourself when you come back for your 10th reunion at Voorhees, where you have contributed and given some financial contribution as an alumnus of this university? W, I want you to stop wishing for it, stop wanting for it, get off your and start working for it. X, I want you to x-ray your own life and x-ray your own life. Leave mine alone. My mama used to say, mind your own business, and I'm going to mind mine. Why? I want you to yearn to be the best of whatever you're going to be. Don't be jealous of me, and I won't be jealous of you. You yearn to be you, I'm going to yearn to be me. And Z, with quenchless zeal, when you leave this place, do you remember you are the success of their journey, but you got your own journey to make. I opened up with my easy bake oven, baking a dozen. But I don't know if you know that a baker's dozen is really 13. I only gave you 12. So my last quote is from an unknown author. And take this one for your Black History of 2014. The unknown author says, the only thing that should be separated by color is laundry.